What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope everyone is doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys have had a great Wednesday. Hope you guys are having a great week. Overall, you guys already know what time it is, baby. Time for some live week 8 fantasy Q and A. So hop in the live chat, man. Let me know what's popping. Let me know what you guys need. Starts, sits, ads, drops. How did the waiver wire go for you when you woke up this morning? What adjustments do you need to make to your roster? What is your roster confidence at this point in the week? What is your roster non-confidence? So we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna talk some fantasy football, man. Hop in the live chat, like I said. Let me know what's popping. Hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button, of course, if you're new to the channel. We're gonna talk some fantasy football tonight. Let's get into it, man. So Thursday night football tomorrow. Still don't have a clear update on if Mark Andrews is going to play. Still dealing with a knee injury, and I believe last I checked, he had not practiced today. So tomorrow's going to be an interesting game. Should be a good game, right? But tomorrow's going to be an interesting game because you really have like both these teams in a large need of an offensive statement, you know? Like the Ravens have been playing kind of downward, especially in comparison to the beginning of the season and the way they were airing out the football, you know? And they got the Buccaneers just struggling, coming off of 2 tough losses to Kenny Pickett's Steelers and PJ Walker's Panthers. So Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman are both questionable for tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But that could bring up a role for Isaiah Likely. You know, I mean, his role basically in the offense since week 2 has gone downhill. But tomorrow, with Andrews potentially out, you know, could see him step up. I mean, we've seen Duvernay, you know, step up when Bateman's gone down. But kind of been up and down. You know, he did well in week 5 when Bateman was out. But didn't do anything in week 6 when Bateman was out. So we'll see what happens. But I would say both these teams are going to try and focus on the run game. But the interesting thing is, I mean, the one thing the Buccaneers are doing right is they're running the football. Right. So, or excuse me, they're stopping the run. They're doing not so bad running the football as well. But we'll see what happens. See what happens with tomorrow. Should be an interesting game. Outside of that, the Bears traded Robert Quinn to the Eagles. So this Eagles team is just freaking ridiculous. Bears are going to essentially, you know, take care of most of the cap, and the Eagles lose a 4th rounder. I mean, I think it's a good trade for the Eagles here. Obviously putting all their chips in, right? So I think it's a great move overall, man. That Eagles defense just gonna have a ridiculous couple of weeks coming up here. Deebo Samuel did not practice today. Still dealing with a hamstring injury. We really do need to monitor Deebo's health going into Sunday. Let's see. TJ Watt could return in November at any point, basically. We have no idea when. Oh, this is an interesting one. Jameis Winston is healthy, but Andy Dalton is going to be the starter for the Saints. And, yeah, the Saints are rolling with Dalton, so we'll see what happens there. I mean, it's not like Dalton's been playing awful, but, you know, I was surprised by that. The Chargers are expecting Mike Williams to miss at least 4 weeks, if not more. Bad news for Mike Williams owners, including myself. I have several shares of Mike Williams, so that's a tough one. That's going to hurt me in multiple fantasy leagues, but that's about it. All right, so let's hop in the live chat. I just want to get you guys some quick updates. Let's talk some fantasy football, man. Appreciate you guys being here, man. Hit that like button on the way in for me. And let's get to it. After the review, what's up, man? What's up? How are you doing? Appreciate you being in the house. Good to see you. Let's see. Yes, Tick. Drop Elijah Mitchell for Kareem Hunt. You can. Like, I definitely think Mitchell's ceiling is going to be obviously capped with CMC coming into the mix. You know, obviously there's a lot of buzz about Kareem Hunt potentially getting traded, and, you know, some would argue likely getting traded. The Browns are definitely listening to offers based on everything that I've read. So the The issue with me is, like, if Kareem Hunt gets traded, where exactly is he going to go where he's a plug-in RB1? You know? I mean, he's definitely capped with the way Nick Chubb is handling this offense right now from a fantasy perspective. You know, scored a touchdown last week and had 7.8 points. Like, you know, it's definitely not what you want to see. And in week 1 against Carolina, it looked like Hunt was going to be relatively involved. And don't get me wrong, you know, weeks 1 through 5, Chubb had at least 10 touches. I just only scored 2 touchdowns on the ground. He also had a touchdown through the air in week 1. But, you know, if he got a couple more touchdowns in there, we probably would be looking at his fantasy outlook a little bit differently. But to answer your question, you know, you can definitely consider it. I don't think it's an awful move by any means. Should I start Walker or Godwin? Cameron, I'd probably go Walker. I just don't want to bench Walker right now. You know, Godwin's got a good matchup against the Ravens, but I can't bench Walker. I would go Walker personally. Playing way too good. Reese, what's up? Pick 2, Debo, Walker, or Stevenson. I think for now you put in Walker and Stevenson. I mean, you know, Debo's dealing with the hamstring injury. Didn't practice today like we just went over. And, you know, I'm not against Debo if he's healthy. His best game on the season was, you know, against the 49ers. So I'm not against Debo per se, but I don't know. I would probably stick with the running backs. Both of them are playing very, very well and probably bring a little bit more upside, you know. Walker against the Giants should be a good little game script there. And then Ramondre Stevenson, on the other hand, getting the Jets is probably a favorable matchup as well. The Jets defense not bad, but yeah, I would probably stick with your 2 running backs there, man. Mainly because Debo's hurt. I feel like if Debo wasn't hurt, you'd have a tougher decision. All right, Cameron, my lineup in 10-man is Burrow, Watson, Chasen Lamb, Godwin, Ayuk, Thielen, Claypool, Henry, Etienne, Walker, Rachaad White, Dobbins, tight ends, Higman. 5 and 2. Any upgrade recommendations? So, I mean, you're set at quarterback. Your wide receivers are perfectly fine. You got Chasen Lamb on a weekly basis. Then your running back's perfectly fine. You got Henry, and I would say Walker. And then in your flex, you have the option to flex Godwin or ETN. So at any point, you know, you can replace Lamb with Godwin. You can place your RB2 with ETN. So I would say that, like, Claypool and Dobbins, you can look to the waiver wire and replace those 2 players, especially in a 10-man league. So let me know who's out there. But those 2 players I don't think are really bringing any value to your roster, right? Like, Ayuk and Thielen are fine on the bench. Rachaad White is completely fine as a handcuff. But Dobbins, I mean, I don't even know, like, when Dobbins is back and healthy, how consistent he's going to be, especially with Gus Edwards starting to be on the rise. So, and Claypool, like, maybe hold on to Claypool for the hope that he gets traded to, like, a contender, I guess, or just a good, better offense, right? But I would say those 2 players can move up from, but, like, Higbee, as long as it's full PPR, is completely fine. So, yeah, I think you're good. I would look at those 2 players. I don't think you need to do any trades. Like, I think your team is perfectly fine, man. Should have a good week. Like, Henry's going to have a huge week. He gets the Houston Texans this week. Etienne and Walker, I think, are going to have good games, right? Chase and Lamb or Chase and Godwin, however you want to spin it. And then you got Burrow for the stack. You got Higbee. You should have a great week, man. Phase 10-4, what's up, man? Which one should I start at flex? Lockett, Pittman, Singletary, or Amari Cooper? I kind of lean towards Lockett right now, but, I mean, you know, the Giants' offense playing all right. Or, excuse me, their offense playing fine, but their defense playing all right. Amari Cooper is not a bad option against the Bengals. Probably a toss-up between Cooper and Lockett, whoever you have the most personal conviction in. Jason, what's up, man? Do you think Andrews and St. Brown play? So, yeah, we've kind of talked about Andrews. I'm not entirely sure. We don't have a great update, but, you know, being that it's a short week, there's definitely a strong possibility that Mark Andrews does not suit up for this game. So, you know, I think the Ravens definitely want him to. I'm sure he definitely wants to, because this is a big game, right? But we'll just kind of have to monitor it, you know. Short weeks are just tough, and obviously he didn't look great last week, so maybe he kind of played through it last week and needs to make that decision this week. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, let's see. I haven't checked his status. I need him to play, so I hope he plays. But limited Wednesday. So from what I've heard, he's in concussion protocol as a, precaution, but he doesn't have a concussion. So I think there's a good chance he plays. DJ Chark is still hurt. Cephas is hurt. Jameson Williams, Dan Campbell came out and said is about a little bit over a month away. Josh Reynolds has a knee issue, so they need Amon-Ra St. Brown to play. So if he truly avoided a concussion, I think he'll play for sure. I just think they're leaning on the safe side of things. So I'll say this much, man. Khalif Raymond is not a bad receiver at 14.5 fantasy points against Dallas, 9.5 in week 5 against New England, and it looks like he could be in suit to play a pretty heavy role in this matchup against the Miami Dolphins in week 8. So as a desperate PPR stream, we could consider him as well. But I think St. Brown has a better shot to play than Andrews, Jason. Drizzy Jake, what's up, man? What do you think some good quarterback and tight end streamers are this week? So it depends on who's out there for you, of course. I know in a lot of leagues, Daniel Jones got picked up, but Daniel Jones is a good option. I don't think Justin Fields is an option because he gets Dallas, and I don't think Trevor Lawrence is an option because he gets Denver. Those two, you're really, really, risking it if you do start them, right? So, I actually like Jared Goff against Miami this week. I know he's had 2 really bad games in a row, but if you're desperate enough, I do think you can roll with Jared Goff. Daniel Jones is the best stream out there, Quarterback 10 in fantasy right now, and he gets Seattle. Easily the best, out there, right? But Marcus Mariota against the Panthers is okay. I actually think, if you're absolutely desperate enough, I play in a double quarterback league, and I've got Herbert on bye this week, excuse me. I had Hurts on bye last week, and I rolled with Taysom Hill last week, and it cost me It cost me a loss. I should be 7-0. I lost by less than a point. Really, the New England Patriots defense cost me my loss. But this week I'm starting PJ Walker. Call me crazy, man. And, my team is, pretty damn good in that league. So, but the Falcons are one of the worst teams in the league against opposing quarterbacks from a fantasy perspective. So, do I think Walker is going to get you, 20 fantasy points? No. Do I think he could get you, 18 and hopefully 20? Yeah, I actually do. But that's, a desperate move, So, especially if Daniel Jones is out there. Daniel Jones should be rostered right now. So let me know who's out there, man, and maybe we can get a better situation put together there for you, my guy. All right, and in terms of tight ends, Irv Smith, man. If Irv Smith probably got dropped, Irv Smith is a great stream this week. Phenomenal stream against the Cardinals. Beautiful matchup. Worst team in the league against tight ends. If I'm not mistaken, they're definitely in top 3. I don't remember off the top of my head, but Hayden Hurst is an option, but the Browns have been really good against opposing tight ends, So I will have starts and sits for tight ends out tomorrow, and there are a lot of streaming options that I go over in that video. Mike Gesicki's a really solid streaming option this week against the Lions. They played awful against tight ends. Jawan Johnson and Taysom Hill are pretty good options, but the issue with Taysom Hill is you never quite know how he's going to be utilized. So there's definitely options out there, so let me know who's available for you, man. All right, Nick Jackson with the super chat. Thank you so much, man. What a guy. What a guy. We got to get, let's do the dab emoji in the chat for Nick. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, man. What's up, John? What's up, Nick? Hopkins or Kenneth Walker this week? Ooh, great info as always, bro. Thanks. Hey, I got you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Very, very kind of you, man. Listen, so if I'm not mistaken, let me double check here. Listen, I believe in Hopkins this week, 110%. I think he'll have another good matchup. I really do. Another good stat line coming up for Hopkins. But if I'm not mistaken, the Vikings have played... No, I thought they had played a little bit better against opposing receivers, but I'm wrong on that. So this is really a toss-up. I mean, that's why you're asking the question, though, right? I'd probably go Walker, personally. I really don't want to sit Kenneth Walker right now. I just don't. And, man, D-Hop's going to have a good week. It's a really tough call. Really tough call. So, Walker gets the Giants. Let's just double-check how they're coming in. Giants are the 7th best team in the league against opposing running backs. But really, Walker had 14 points against New Orleans, And they're the 10th best. He had 19 against Arizona. They are the 11th best. Balled out against the Chargers because they're the second worst team in the league. But it's a tougher matchup for Kenneth Walker. It's a better matchup for DeAndre Hopkins. So I do think if you play in full PPR, you can definitely consider Hopkins over Walker. I just, with the way Walker's playing right now, I just don't want to bench him. But, Nick, I think that looking at the matchups, Hopkins could be a realistic move for you, without a doubt. So, if you play full PPR, you might want to consider Walker. It's just tough. It's tough there because, or excuse me, if you play full PPR, you might want to consider Hopkins. It's just really tough because both are great players, you know. I think Hopkins might be my call here. But you really can't go wrong, Nick. You could flip a coin here. Both are phenomenal plays on the week, man. So, Nick, let me know if you need anything else. Let me know if you need any further clarification there. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. I appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Stephen Joe, what up, man? Do you think Kyron Williams takes the starting job in a few weeks? It's possible, but Darrell Henderson has played just fine all season long, so I think it's more likely we see a committee or, you know, Sean McVay does like to kind of flip the switch at the running back position, so I think it's possible. I think he's worth stashing until we know. I've stashed him in a league. I definitely think it's worth doing so. After the review, actual fantasy question: Jets, Commanders, or Panthers? I probably roll with the Jets against the Patriots. They're gonna struggle against the run, but they'll do fine against the passing game. I'll tell you guys. So one of the over-unders for Underdog this week, one of the lines that's out there, we've got Jacoby Myers at 49.5 receiving yards. I like him at the lower because Sauce Gardner is ridiculous at football. George Henry, full PPR. This is a huge week for me. Pick a flex. Gallup, DJ Moore, Brian Robinson, Foreman, Cortland Sutton, or Robinson. As in Randall Robinson. Also, do I trust Pitts this week since Njoku is out, or pick up a tight end? I might go DJ Moore here. I might. You got a lot of tough calls here. Your flex is really close here. So, you know what, man? For the most upside possible, I probably go Randall Robinson, to be honest with you. He gets Seattle. I just like that matchup. I'm starting him in a league where I have Metcalf and Mike Williams, so I was like fortunate enough to be able to pick him up. So I think he's a really good option against the Seattle defense. I will go Randall Robinson. But like Foreman and Brian Robinson are interesting. DJ Moore is an awful. But man, I'd probably go Randall Robinson. And to answer your second question, I would probably look to pick up a tight end. If Greg Dulcich is available, I like him. Mike Gesicki is a great stream, like we talked about a couple moments ago. Irv Smith is a really solid stream this week. It depends on who's out there, man. Let me know. But I don't trust Kyle Pitts if it's a big week for you, man. Eugene, need one more wide receiver. Have Randall Robinson and George Pickens. Who would you trust from Claypool, Moore, Doobie, and McKenzie? Don't feel comfortable with anyone but need one. Probably Rondell Moore. I know he disappointed last week, but I'd take a chance on him. Your next best bet is Isaiah McKenzie. Start AJ Dillon or Chase Edmonds this week. What's up, Cam? I'd take a chance on Chase Edmonds. I really would. I'd take a chance on Chase Edmonds. Because he gets the Lions. And I could see Mostert getting a little bit of rest in this game and Chase Edmonds getting some involvement, although he hasn't been impressive the past couple weeks where, you know, A.J. Dillon against the Bills in general is a bad matchup, and A.J. Dillon hasn't been a part of the game plan as of late. So I will go Chase Edmonds. Pray, what's up, man? I got Gus Edwards off the waiver catch. Pick 3. Higbee, Ertz, McLaurin, Edwards, or J-Rob. I need 1 tight end and 2 flexes. Okay. I would start Higbee, Ertz, McLaurin. Yeah, I'd probably start those guys, believe it or not. Here's the issue, right? Gus Edwards at the moment is a little bit banged up. He's listed as questionable. And he gets Tampa Bay is one of the best teams in the league against opposing running backs. And J-Rob is questionable and coming into committee in a new offense. So I probably go with the other three. Jackson trade Hill for CMC. Jackson, it depends on your entire... So my team is Lamar, Pierce, JT, Cup, Hill, Higbee, and Godwin for context. I'd probably keep Hill. Like, you're not really hurting at running back, in my opinion. I'd probably keep Hill. I think he brings more upside to your weekly roster. I mean, CMC's going to be just fine as things get going there, but I'd rather have Cup, the combination of Cup and Hill, I think, and then roll with Pierce and JT than Godwin in the flex and Lamar and Higbee at quarterback and tight end. You can if you'd rather have a third running back to flex, but I think that combination of Cup and Hill is really nice. I'd probably keep it. Trying to find a QB with Mahomes on bye. Options are Dalton, Garoppolo, Fields, Wilson, Walker. Who do you think is a better option? I don't mind Garoppolo this week. I'm not completely against Andy Dalton, who had a really good game last week and is going to be the starter this week for the Saints. But I also, like, I don't know. Do I trust Andy Dalton? Not really. He had 13 or less fantasy points in the previous 3 weeks. And then 29.5 against Arizona. And it's a good matchup against the Raiders. So, like, Andy Dalton, kind of a boomer bust option. I'm not against it. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a really safe option. Should get you about 18 fantasy points this week. So, I'm not against Jimmy G. PJ Walker is like I think PJ Walker is just like a desperate. I would go with Jimmy Garoppolo probably before Kenneth. Before PJ Walker. Not before Kenneth Walker. So, all right, let's see here. Brian with the super chat, man. What a guy. Thank you so much, man. Very, very kind of you, bro. Got to get some. There we go. Whatever that emoji is. Emojis in the chat for Brian. Kate Otten, Kyle Pitts, Irv Smith, Hat PPR, Gabe Pitts, too long. For this week, I go Irv Smith, Brian, for sure. Irv Smith's going to have a good game. Cardinals are the worst team in the league against opposing tight ends. I mean, you look at last week, Juwan Johnson scored 2 touchdowns on them. And Taysom Hill had a touchdown as well, but that doesn't really count because he wasn't lined up as a tight end in that play. But regardless, the Cardinals just don't play well against tight ends, point blank. So I would start Irv Smith this week regardless of scoring format. I think Kate Otten is someone you can consider like rest of the season, but I don't know how much more consistency or how much better he is than Kate Otten. So I might just roll with Irv Smith, to be honest. If Greg Dulcich is out there, he's worth a look for the rest of the season as well. But yeah, I would roll with Irv Smith right now for sure, man, for sure, not even close. And yeah, I would not start Pitts this week personally. I would not. I don't have any faith in him. So, Brian, let me know if you need anything else, man. Let me know if you need me to embellish any more there. If there are other tight end options out there you want me to take a look at for you. But yeah, I would roll with Irv Smith. He's a smash play this week. So, Brian, thank you so much for the $2 dono. Very kind of you, bro. Very, very kind of you. Thank you, man. All right, let's see. Should I use Patriots defense this week? Should I use Falcons or Commanders or even Titans? Yeah, I think any of those guys, any of those teams can have a good defensive week, but I'd probably stick with the Patriots. I'm not ready to give up on that unit yet. I think that coming off of how bad they played and the loss and everything, I think they'll play fine this week against the Jets. But the Titans and Commanders aren't bad streaming options either. Noah streaming tight ends. Yeah, so we kind of touched on a couple, so hopefully you heard those. But there's definitely plenty of options out there on the week. Irv Smith is my number 1. Mike Gesicki is probably my number 2. Mike Gesicki is a really solid play this week. So go check if those guys are available. They're both worth playing. Noah Fant and Will Dissly, very inconsistent, but they both have a good matchup this week if you're desperate enough. Evan Engram is always a player. Like, Evan Engram is rostered in 48% of leagues now, but Evan Engram you can always plug in. You know, he should get you 8 to 10 points. Hayden Hurst is an option, but it's a bad matchup this week for Hayden Hurst. You know, the Browns have actually played very well against the tight end position. So hopefully that's helpful for you, man. Let me know. Jefferson and Thielen already wide receiver 1 and 2. Dalton or Geno. Man, we got the Viking stack here. Got the Viking stack, Brian. By the way, Brian, thank you again for the super chat. So, I think it's okay. It's always risky. It's always scary starting 3 players from the same offense. But I really think Irv Smith is going to have that good of a game, man. Like, or at least I think he's that safe of a play this week, you know. Jefferson is fine, like regardless of who else you start. Thielen, maybe depending on who else you have, you can consider someone else there. But I do think that this is a good game script. This is one of the better game scripts of the week between the Cardinals and the Vikings. So I wouldn't worry too much, but it is always risky when you're starting that many players from the same team. Dalton or Geno? I mean, Dalton's got the better matchup, Brian. Okay. Dalton's got the better matchup. Geno, I would say Dalton for upside, but more risk factor, boomer bust potential, and Geno for a safer floor, but less upside. When you look at the last 2 weeks or so for Geno, pretty disappointing. 12.6 points in week 6, 14.1 in week 7. The Giants have not been playing bad defense, and they're probably going to be without DK Metcalf. So, you know, don't get me wrong, Lockett and Goodwin should be able to get things together. Hopefully Goodwin wasn't a 1 week fluke, you know, but he looked like he had pretty good chemistry out there with Geno. So I could see this game starting off kind of slow and getting out of hand. But like I said, Geno is the safe floor play. The one who brings you the upside is Andy Dalton, but he brings a lot of risk as well. So, Brian, thank you again for the super chat, man. I appreciate you, bro. Hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you need anything else, man. Would you trade Gerald Everett for George Pickens? I also have Taysom Hill and picked up Freiermuth off waivers. If you have Freiermuth, you can, yeah. Freiermuth and Everett are very close in rankings. So, Freiermuth is like tight end 9. Everett's like tight end 7. I like Everett a lot, but if you need a receiver, I don't mind it, Craig. Albert, what's up, man? Jackson, oh, we already hit that. Albert, would you start Pollard or Mostart this week? Mostart, for sure. Mostart gets the Lions. Yeah, Mostart for sure. Pray, what's wrong with Andrews? He has a knee injury that he was dealing with last week as well. Miles, full PPR, trying to find an upgrade at wide receiver. Should I trade Kenneth Walker and Judy for Adams or Olave and Waddle? Already have Henry and Saquon. Not Judy. Oh, wait, Kenneth Walker and Judy, I'm sorry. For Adams or Olave and Waddle. Yeah, if you're really hurting that receiver that bad, I hate to see you lose Kenneth Walker because running back depth is going to start to be so important as we approach the half point of the season. But if you're really hurting that receiver, like if you can, you know, Kenneth Walker's a loss, but Judy's not. There's rumors that Judy might be getting traded. You can get Adams or Olave and Waddle. I mean, you're not just getting an upgrade at receiver, you're getting a massive upgrade. So, like, that's fair value for Kenneth Walker, who's playing great football right now. Stober, what's up, man? Cameron, I got you, bro. I could drop Dobbins for Renfro, Gallup, Dotson, OBJ, or Hilliard. Maybe Dotson because he brings some upside. The rest of those, I want to kind of sit back and see what happens. So, but yeah, I think you can essentially drop Dobbins for anyone right now and have a better option on your bench. Do I trade Ramondre and Ayuk for Swift? I would not, Diego. I would hold Ramondre. Unless you're just really loaded at running back and you can kind of sit back and allow Swift to be like a flex option, you know, dependent on health. And I like Ayuk, but he brings a lot of boomer bust potential. So it kind of depends on what the rest of your roster looks like. But I'd probably hold Ramondre. George, tough start and sit decision. Do I start Mike Evans against a horrendous Ravens secondary or start Higgins for Monday Night Football since I own Burrow? AJ Brown's a must start on flexing Damon Pierce. Yeah, you really can't go wrong here, man. Both have great Evans has a better matchup, but both have really good game scripts. Like, I think both of these guys are going to have really good games. So, I'm not against Mike Evans this week at all. And I'm not against Higgins this week. This is tough. Mike Evans has, I would argue, less competition for targets. Obviously, he has Godwin, right? But Higgins, there's a lot of volume to go around there. So I might roll Mike Evans, but it is a short week, and sometimes these Thursday night matchups can be kind of disappointing. So I think Evans is a safer play. Higgins might provide some more upside, though. But both are perfectly fine starts. Definitely a tough decision there, man. Should I try and trade Pollard to the Elliott owner for Patterson? Depends on the rest of your roster, but it's not a bad trade necessarily. Just keep in mind, Pollard's a stronger handcuff if anything happens to Zeke, you know? Jesse, my QBs are Rodgers and Wilson. Do I drop one for Winston? No good QBs available on the waiver wire. Not for Winston, because Winston is Winston's not going to be the starter. Andy Dalton is. So, not for Winston, but maybe for someone else. Daniel Jones. Be your best option. It just sucks that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields have really bad matchups this week because I still think they're in the streaming conversation. Happy Paul, what's up, man? I'm down bad after losing Hall. Do I start Henderson or Williams? I would start Henderson. Unless we get word that Swift is out, then I would roll Jamal Williams. All right, after the review, flex help Olave, Gabe Davis, Lockett, or Edwards. For me, man, I'm rolling with Olave on a week-in, week-out basis. Davis is a nice upside play. Lockett could see higher volume, so you've got good options here. Gus Edwards a little bit banged up. Thursday night matchup against the Bucs defense. But really, I think the best option is Olave straight up. Like, regardless of who the quarterback is, Olave is your best player here. Kelsey on a bye or Jawan Johnson? Just leave Kelsey in your lineup. What's up, Julian? Go Jawan Johnson. Yeah. Get some points. I mean, Johnson's got a good matchup. Emmy, what's up? Thoughts on trading Walker for Diggs or Walker and Stevenson for Diggs and Godwin? Running backs are JT, Walker, ET, and Robinson, Pierce, and Stevenson. Yeah, I mean, you have, like, your team is ridiculously loaded at running back, so I think either of these are fine. But I would try to keep, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 really solid running backs. I would honestly try to keep 5. I really would. So I would try to just trade Walker for Diggs straight up. Try and hold on to Stevenson. Who else remembers during the offseason everyone had a membership? So when someone gifts a membership, essentially you have a membership for a month, and if you don't renew it, then you're no longer a member. It's just, that's why it was a gifted membership. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh no, I lost my spot in the chat. Okay, I found it though. All right, let's see. Who do I start? Dalton Schultz or Hawkinson? I go Hawkinson. Tougher matchup for Dalton Schultz. And he's a little banged up right now. I go Hawkinson. Carr and Monty for Tua. I would be getting Tua. My other running backs are Swift, Mostart, Walker, White, and B-Rob. I'm not against that. If you want to upgrade at quarterback, I don't know how much of an upgrade it is. Just don't forget, when we look at Tua's stat lines this year and fantasy lines, like, outside of that game against the Ravens, like, it's not that he's been playing bad necessarily, but the fantasy lines aren't great overall. But Carr just hasn't really shown a great ceiling on the year either. So, I'm not against, like, I don't think it hurts your roster per se. So, yeah, you can consider it if you like Tua more than Carr. I'm not totally against it. Running backs are pretty good, so I think you're good there, man. All right, Sanders, Pollard, if Elliott is out, or Higgins start 2. That's the thing, man. Between Sanders and Elliott, it's just a toss-up on a weekly basis. It really is. Really is. They get the Bears. Bears aren't playing that bad defensively, but obviously not playing great against the run. So you're saying Pollard if Elliott is out. I'm sorry. Wow. So you got Miles Sanders, Pollard, and Higgins. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I'd probably still start Higgins, and I'd probably go Sanders. I'd probably go Sanders and Higgins. It's tough, though. Jason, might have to drop someone to get a tight end to replace Andrews. Would you drop Jamal Williams, Singletary, or Deontay Johnson? Probably Singletary. You could go Deontay Johnson, though. At least Jamal Williams holds handcuff value. Ravens defense a bad play tomorrow night? I think so. I think so. Short week. They haven't played great already on the season. I think so. Aaron Rodgers is also available, but don't know how much better he is than Carr. I'd rather have Carr than Rodgers, for sure. I think I cursed Aaron Rodgers this year by buying this jersey that I'm currently wearing. But Derek Carr's your quarterback 18 in fantasy. If I'm not mistaken, Rodgers is 17. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Interesting enough, they're both questionable, but I think they'll both play. Rodgers has a steep matchup against the Bills this week as well. All right, let's see. Pick up Evan Engram, Knox, or Irv Smith. Irv Smith for sure. Roll with Irv Smith this week. Not even close, Jason. Bigfoot, Gus Edwards, Brian Robinson, or Donta Foreman at flex. Oh, man, it's close. I see a pretty similar floor and ceiling for all those players. If Gus wasn't facing Tampa Bay's defense and wasn't a little bit banged up, I'd probably just roll with Gus. But it's close here, you know? It's close. Let's see here. So B-Rob will play the Colts. Not a great matchup. And then I kind of like Donta Foreman. I might go Donta Foreman here. They're all fine. Like, really, honestly, I see a very similar floor and ceiling for these players. Godwin or Mostart? Godwin for the floor, Mostart for upside. I mean, Mostart against the Lions is really hard to pass up, though. But Godwin's got a good matchup against the Ravens as well. Jesse, what's good, bro? What's up? What's up? What should I improve for my team? Jackson, Sanders, Pierce, Kelsey, Jones, Randall Robinson, Myers, and Chase. So, I mean, it looks like receiver is probably where you need the most help. It's not that Randall Robinson and Myers are playing bad football, but, you know, you could get some help there, right, with Jamar Chase. But rest of your team looks good. I mean, Aaron Jones coming off a big game. You could try and offload Jones for, like, a wide receiver 1 or hopefully a package. Depends on who's on your bench, but I mean, overall, your team looks pretty good, Jesse. Solid quarterback, great tight end, good RB1, RB2, good flex player. I mean, Myers has been very consistent on the year when he's been healthy, and then you got Chase. So I think you're in a pretty good spot, man. Should I start Sutton or Brandon Cooks? What's up, Caleb? I don't like either, but I guess I go Sutton. And I really don't like Sutton. James Collard, Tony Pollard, or Gus Edwards. What's up, Nick? If Connor's healthy, I might go Connor because it's a great matchup. But I might lean Tony Pollard here. Let me know in the chat, guys. How do you guys feel about Gus Edwards this week? A good performance in week 7, right? But still technically a little bit banged up. It's a really tough matchup. It's a short week. Let me know how you guys are feeling. I own him in a league or 2. Ronnie, what's good, man? Need 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex in full PPR. Eda Benjamin, Aaron Jones, Ramondre, Foreman, Kupp, Olave, Pittman, Amon-Ra. Wow. Good options here. I go Aaron Jones and Ramondre for your 2 running backs. I go Kupp and Olave at receiver for sure. And then I flex Amon-Ra St. Brown. But if Amon-Ra's not healthy, you can really, it's a toss-up between Eno or Foreman. If James Conner sits, go Eno. If not, probably Foreman. I want to see what happens with Pittman with the new quarterback before I start him. Brandon, what's up, man? Hendy, J-Rob, B-Rob, pick one to start. I feel like all these players are like in such a similar, I mean, J-Rob's kind of a different circumstance, but they're just all very close in terms of their fantasy output this week. I probably go Henderson. Maybe James Robinson. That one's tough. They're all, you really can't go wrong there, man. You have very similar floors and ceilings in my eyes. Andrea, hello, hello. Mo Diesel, what's up? Am I winning this year? Half PPR 12, man. Carr, Chubb, Walker, Evans, AJ Brown, Goodert, ETN, Cooks, Rashad White, Bateman, Sutton, Allen Robinson, Rashad White. Am Are you asking, are you going to win your championship? Or are you asking me, are you winning so far? Are you asking me to guess? I mean, the team's not too bad, man. I mean, low ceiling at quarterback, right? Running backs look good, though. Chubb and Walker are probably carrying you. And then, I mean, you got great receivers, Evans and Brown. Goddard, phenomenal tight end. ETN, perfect in the flex. So, I mean, in my opinion, the bench is pretty weak. I mean, the bench has played well at points in the season. You know, Bateman and Sutton and Robinson. Ricard White is a nice handcuff. I think Cooks holds very little value right now. But he might get traded. And Jack Johnson asking what I do with Brandon Cooks right now. You can hold him because he might get traded. But he's just not giving us any fantasy output right now, right? Outside of that, if you don't want to and you need to win now, you might want to drop him and pick someone else up. But yeah, Bo, I mean, I think your team looks pretty good. I think you're in a good position. You're not in love with your bench, but like I said, they've had points in the season where they've played really well. Andrew, need 2 wide receivers, Pittman versus Washington, Olave versus Vegas, DJ Moore versus Atlanta, Sutton versus Jacksonville. I go Chris Olave and DJ Moore, Andrea. Let's see. What's up, Grail Collect? What up, what up? Andrea is killing it this year, 6-0 in that league. Killing it in the catch fam leagues, too. Outsole, Eno Benjamin or Herbert. I'd probably go Benjamin this week. Good matchup. Should I trade Josh Jacobs for JT for Kelsey? I don't ever have an issue going out and getting Travis Kelsey. So, I mean, oh God, it's tough. Like right now, yeah, I'd rather have Josh Jacobs, but I do think that Kelsey will, or excuse me, that JT will be just fine. It's close. Close. I mean, I think they're fair trades for Kelsey. Kelsey just gives you such a positional advantage on a weekly basis. It's ridiculous. I have J-Rob in both leagues. Should I try and trade him? Yeah, if you have J-Rob believers, I don't think your running back depth is good. Then sure, if your running back depth is not good, then keep him. Ignatius, what's up? Start 2. CD and Monroe, Damian Pierce, and Pollard. I would start... Ooh, it's tough. I would start CD and Pierce. If Amon-Ra is healthy, you could go with Amon-Ra over CD. But CD is a little bit safer. Gesicki or Jawan Johnson, I go Gesicki, Richie. Pitts or Hurst as well, I go Gesicki this week against the Lions. They're like the 5th worst team in the league against tight ends. Murray and Monty for Jalen Hurts, a fair trade. I got Swift, Mixon, and Edwards. Yes, go get Jalen Hurts for sure. Is James Conner worth trading for, or is there no upside left with Eno Benjamin there? Looking for a flex / RB depth, but would have to trade Lazard and B-Rob for him. No, I would keep Lazard and B-Rob because I just don't... The way Conner has played on the season, I think you're getting pretty similar output, you know, with James Robinson. So, or excuse me, with Brian Robinson, I'm sorry. But I think I would hold. And then Lazard is playing very consistent as well. So I would probably just hold personally. It's close, but yeah, I would hold. All right, Ace, what's up, man? Need help. 4-3 in PPR. Should I trade Pittman or Ertz? Here's my team. Got Jackson, Taylor, Pierce, Foreman, Edwards, Pittman, Thomas, Cooks, Robinson, Collins, Slayton, and Ertz. You know, I don't have a problem trading those players, but I wouldn't trade Ertz, frankly, in PPR. I would not trade Ertz. He's your tight end 3. I would hold on to him. I do think you could use some receiver help here, right? Like Cooks, right now you're probably starting Pittman and Robinson because like Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks aren't doing anything, and Michael Thomas, I don't know, Michael Thomas ever going to play football again? And in all seriousness, like some players don't come back from turf toe. Like it can be very derailing to a player's career. So that's tough. That's really tough. I would go look for a receiver, right? And so, like, it's going to kind of hurt to trade Michael Pittman because you kind of need to hold on to him too. And you only have 4 running backs. I mean, just keep in mind, Ace, like 4 and 3 is not a bad spot to be in, believe it or not. It's still a spot that can get you to the fantasy playoffs. So, I don't know if I'd panic per se, but you might want to start playing the waivers like pretty heavy. Like guys like Cooks and Nico Collins probably aren't win now players in my opinion. And I mean, you could try and trade Michael Thomas and Michael Pittman and get an upgrade, but Randall Robinson's carrying the weight of your receiving core, you know, and Slayton's just been inconsistent. But Robinson's been banged up too, so it's tough. Like, I don't think Slayton's bad for your roster for that reason. Let me know, man. Let me know what you think there. All right, Richie, pick 2. Mixon, Gabe Davis, and Olave. What's up, Richie? I'd probably go Mixon against the Browns. Guys, Mixon against the Cleveland Browns have just played awful. And I mean awful against opposing running backs. Like, Joe Mixon should be in our lineups this week. He has got a very safe floor and an even better ceiling overall. So I would start Mixon. And I'll say it this way. Olave for a safe floor, just a safe stat line overall. Gabe Davis for upside. But I'd probably go Olave. But nothing wrong with Gabe Davis at all. Sell DeAndre Swift high. He's only played 2 good games and hurt ever since. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're necessarily selling him high for that reason. But I don't have a problem trading him if it's hurting your roster and you need to win now. Like, if you can't... If you're relying on Swift as an RB2 and you're in a bad position because of it, then I don't have a problem with it, personally. Don't have a problem with it. What do you think of this trade? Dameon Pierce and Curtis Samuel for Aaron Jones and Mike Evans. I think you get an upgrade at receiver. And you don't necessarily get a downgrade at running back, but you get more inconsistency, you know? Like, Aaron Jones, a great ceiling, but doesn't always hit it on a weekly basis, where Dameon Pierce brings a really safe floor every single week. So, I don't think it's a bad trade. If you're hurting at receiver, I think you get an upgrade and you get a more consistent player at receiver. So, I don't mind it. I don't mind it, C-Dog, if you feel like it's a good trade for your roster. Mr. Curly Wolf, what's up? You start Jimmy G or Andy Dalton this week. Whew. Also thinking about trading A.J. Brown and DJ Moore for Chase or J.J. What do you think? I don't mind the trade. If you have good depth and you're just trying to get an upgrade, I don't think it's bad. Even if you're just trying to get an upgrade in general, I'm not against it. I mean, I believe in A.J. Brown, and I think that we could see some consistency out of DJ Moore. We'll find out. I don't want to go off 1 week. You know, we weren't even starting him last week, so... I'm not against the trade per se, but if it hurts your depth too much, I wouldn't do it. Jimmy G for a safe floor as a streaming option. Andy Dalton for upside. You're rolling the dice if you start Andy Dalton, but could it pay off? It absolutely could. It absolutely could. Ace, thought about trading Pittman for Swift and Pierce for Deebo Samuel. I would say, you know, Ace, if you trade Pittman for Swift, I wouldn't trade Pierce. Because then you're left with Taylor, Swift, Foreman, and Edwards. And Swift's not going to be healthy all season. So I think you need Dameon Pierce on this team. I would try to trade... It's just tough. I would try to trade Pittman and any like of your players that you're not starting for Deebo. Like... Or even, you don't really need running back help is the thing. But I see what you're saying. Like, you offload Pittman, you replace him with Deebo, and then he gets Swift over Pierce, and he can still start JT and then put Pierce in and have Foreman and Edwards. But I just think there's too much injury concern to do that. And even Deebo's banged up right now. So if Deebo misses a week or two due to the hamstring injury, and Randall Robinson is your next best option behind Michael Pittman, that could really hurt your roster. I just feel a little shaky about, you know, Deebo and Swift having some injuries. But both of those players bring a lot of upside in it. It could pay off, but I just think there's a lot of risk involved in the overall depth on your team kind of worries me. You know, I think going for a receiver is going to be the most important thing, but it's kind of, you're in a tough position where, like, it's hard to trade a guy like Pittman, you know? So, because you kind of need him, you know? How'd you rank rest of the season? Eckler, Chase, JJ. Well, it's just tough because we got a running back and 2 receivers, but I go Eckler. I mean, like, the Chargers are dumping off the football at a ridiculous rate. I don't even, like, dude, it's great for Austin Eckler owners, and I'm an Austin Eckler owner, but, like, they just need to sling it, man. Like, I don't understand. Chase is playing phenomenal. JJ's still playing great. Your wide receiver 5 and 4. I mean, man, Eckler, Chase, Jefferson, probably how you have it, but that order could change at any point in the season. They're all playing phenomenal, man. Do you think McCole Hardman is worth a roster spot? Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. You know, and if you are in a good place and you're not hurting, pick him up this week because it's going to be harder to pick up next week. He's on bye this week, so less people are going after him. But, yeah, McCole Hardman seems to be the most consistent receiver for the Chiefs overall. I don't have a problem with picking him up. I had him in the waiver wire video. I like him a lot right now. So, yeah, I think it's a good pickup for sure. How do you feel about Chris Godwin this week? I think the Bucs passing game comes back to life tomorrow night against Baltimore. Yeah, it's a good matchup. It's a short week, so I'm worried. But Chris Godwin is always going to be a solid start. You know, in full PPR, he hasn't played bad since coming back from injury at all. You know, like, not even close. So I'm all for some Chris Godwin. And I like tomorrow's matchup for Godwin and Evans. So Chris Godwin, since his return from week 1's injury, right? In full PPR, 12.9, 12.3, 15.5, 11.5 fantasy points. So hasn't caught a touchdown on the season, but, you know, 3 of those 4 matchups, at least 10 targets. Week 5, he had just 6. And he's delivered, you know, from a full PPR standpoint, excuse me. So, yeah, I think Godwin will be fine tomorrow. Do I think the offense comes to life? I don't quite know what to think of this Buccaneers offense, but I think Chris Godwin will be fine. Curly Wolf, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, man. You like Waddle or Higgins rest of the season? Waddle by a hair, but both are great. Waddle by a hair. Let's see. Walker, ETN. Oh, God. Bryce, both. You can't really go wrong here. You can't go wrong. Full PPR, maybe ETN, but man, I'm not sitting Walker. The Titans have played pretty well against Posey, or no, excuse me, that's Dameon Pierce. Oh, gosh, Giants have played pretty well. I go Walker. I don't want to sit Walker right now, but ETN's gonna have a great game too. Ace, maybe I should keep my team as is. I have receivers that are decent, and Cooks gets traded. That's a plus. I have Kyron Williams on IR. That helps. I have Taylor and Pittman on the same team. Well, who knows, man? Maybe Sam Ehlinger will help their fantasy value. You know? But yeah, I mean, you're 4-3. I wouldn't get too crazy, but yeah, a little bit of help at receiver would help you, but you can always find, like, through the end of the season, valuable receivers on the waiver wire as well, and full PPR especially. Sick Nasty was good, bro. Trade Hill for Olave and Davis. If you need receiver depth, sure. If you don't, then no. And even if you need receiver help, maybe not, because Hill's playing that well. It depends on your whole roster, man. Hill's playing very good football. Like, I mean, he's your wide receiver 3 in fantasy and full PPR, so. Spencer, what's up, man? How are you doing? What up? Just picked up Slayton also, so hopefully that helps. I do, because if Robinson misses a week at any point, you can play Slayton. So he's like a handcuff to Robinson. Check Discord for the trade I just did. I think I improved my squad significantly. Let's take a look. So you traded away Zeke, Brian Robinson, and Garrett Wilson, and you got Debo and Romeo Dubs. I'm not against it, man. Now let me take a look at your full roster. So you offload Wilson, you offload Zeke and Robinson, but you have Etienne, Pollard, A.J. Dillon, and Hendo, and Algier and Foreman. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you got Debo, right? So now you're going to have, you needed some receiver help on this team, too. So, I mean, you had Adams and Alec Pierce. You didn't really need Wilson. You had Renfro. You had Randall Robinson. So, yeah, I think this helped your roster as well because you got Debo. You know, you didn't really need the 2 running backs. You had a lot of running backs. I don't know how crazy I am about Romeo Dubs right now. I think he could be trending downward. But I don't think it hurts necessarily. So, yeah, I think getting Debo helped a lot, man, for sure. I think it's a good trade. Let's go. I like the jersey. I wore it for you, man. I think I cursed Aaron Rodgers by buying this jersey. He's played very bad football ever since I bought this jersey. So I think I hurt your team, man. I'm sorry. That was not my intention. I just wanted a cool jersey. All right, let's see. Thoughts on Eckler and Evans for Devontae and Saquon? Very close here. Eckler's, I don't know, man. I mean, Eckler's your RB1. He is balling out. And he could argue maybe a little bit safer than Barkley since we've already seen a little bit of injury action for Barkley pop up. But Barkley's RB2. Adams is wide receiver 6. Evans is wide receiver 15. So I'll take Barkley and Adams. But, yeah, like Spence is saying, it's close as hell. It definitely is. But I'll take Devontae and Saquon. Stober, PJ Walker, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones for sure. Also have Lawrence, Mariota, Fields, Goff, Russ, Tannehill, Stafford on a waiver. Yeah. For me, it's Daniel Jones. Not even close. Danny Dimes, start of the week, man. Stream of the week, I should say. I mean, I like Walker actually as well as a good stream. Falcons have not played good against opposing quarterbacks. Lawrence is good, but he gets a bad matchup. There's arguments for, I mean, Fields has been playing well, but he's got a bad matchup too. And Lawrence and Fields have like 2 of the worst possible matchups. They're not just like kind of bad matchups. Like they're the Cowboys and the Broncos. I would just go Daniel Jones for sure. Traded Jefferson, Eckler, Eagles for Diggs, Jacobs, Cowboys. How do y'all like that one? It's close here. It's close. You get a slight upgrade at receiver, right? Diggs is wide receiver 1. And then JJ's wide receiver 5. Austin Eckler is RB1. Josh Jacobs is RB3. 4. I would rather have the Eagles defense. I don't know. It's really close here. It's really close. I think the Eagles defense, I mean the Cowboys defense is great, man. I'm not dogging them by any means, but I think this Eagles defense is going to start winning people matchups on a weekly basis. Like, let's just take a look, right? The Eagles get Pittsburgh, the Texans, Washington, the Colts. Keep in mind that that's Taylor Heineke in Week 10 and Sam Ellinger in Week 11. They get the Packers in Week 12, Tennessee, the Giants, Chicago, Dallas, and the Saints to finish out the year. Like, the most competitive game is Dallas. The next most competitive game is the Giants. The next most competitive game is the Packers. And, like, there's some bad quarterback play lined up here. The Eagles, and they just got Robert Quinn. Like, this team is just going to be on fire. But the Cowboys don't have an awful schedule either, right? On bye week after this week, they get Chicago in Week 8. It's a pretty good matchup in Week 8, even though Chicago's looked good. Then they get Green Bay, Minnesota, the Giants, the Colts, Houston, Jacksonville, Philly, and Tennessee. Like, it's not a bad schedule either. And their defense won, so that's close. That's close. The Eagles are defense 6, so that part's close, right? It's close. I don't know if I'll bring that too much of a factor. I just think the Eagles are going to have some really, really good matchups. I'd rather have Eckler than Jacobs, as good as Jacobs has played, and I'd rather have Diggs than Jefferson. So it's a very close trade. Very, very close trade. If it's full PPR, I would much rather have Eckler, though. But it's not a bad trade, man. Yeah. Dubes may never catch a pass again. It's true. It's possible. But I don't know how much I want to read into, one comment by Aaron Rodgers, right? But it's just tough to read that offense at the end of the day right now. I need Debo more than Zeke and Brian. Fair, yeah. I think you do too. Wide receiver waivers are terrible. Dubes is miles better than everyone else on waivers. That's fair. That's fair. Then I think that helps too, man. Yeah, you needed a receiver help, so I don't think it's a bad trade. And Debo's a big upgrade for you, man. David, what's up, man? Been holding out with Cooks, waiting to hear trade news. Should I play him over Paris Campbell this week? I'm not very confident in Paris Campbell. Like, the upside is there this week, but the boomer bust is there this week as well. I just don't know what the chemistry looks like with Sam Ehlinger, because Matt Ryan and Paris Campbell had nice chemistry, like, since training camp. I just don't quite know what it looks like. So there's a big... I'd probably start Campbell over Cooks. I don't have any faith in Cooks right now either, man. Do I trade Kamara and Najee for Diggs? Bob, if you have good running back depth, you can. You get the wide receiver 1 on the season, so you can. David, also been trying to trade Debo straight up for lower-ranked wide receivers and hasn't been easy. Would you trade Debo and Singletary for ETN? Depends on your roster. Depends on your roster. It's tough to say. Depends on how bad you need running back help and how deep your wide receiver depth is. So it's close. All right, Richie, deep league, David Mills, Walker, or Sam Ehlinger. I go PJ Walker. It's a good matchup. I am in a similar position in a double quarterback league, and I went PJ Walker. So I could have picked any of those guys. I went Walker, so I'm riding with you, man. All right, Bush TV. Other running backs I've got are CMC, JT, Jacobs, and now ETN on bench. Yeah, I mean, your running back room looks great, man. It's a close trade, man. It's non-PPR, I see now. Okay. It's a close trade. I mean, you got Diggs, so you got an upgrade at receiver for sure. And your running backs still look great, so I don't think it's a bad trade necessarily. Commanders are better with Taylor than Wentz. Hot take. Not a hot take. Yeah, after the review, literally says my words. Not a hot take. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think it's crazy to say at all, man. But they still suck. And I'm allowed to say that because I grew up a Washington fan, so they still suck, man. They are the worst ever. I hate Washington so much. Okay. Deeper league, Jon Dawson or Akins. I go Jon Dawson. He's got another good matchup this week against the Raiders, man. Signasty, I lost both Hall and Javonte. What I got left is Hill, Godwin, Sutton, Randall, Pickens, CMC, Pollard, Gus, and Pacquiao. What move would you try to make? Wow, that sucks, man. Not the only one of you guys who I've seen who's lost both Hall and Javonte. It just sucks. So you've got CMC, Pollard, and Gus at running back. Pacquiao as well. Godwin, Sutton, Hill, Randall, Pickens. Receivers look pretty good. I would see if you can trade Sutton and Pacquiao and just get a starting running back or receiver, or like a low-end running back or wide receiver too that has value. But I will keep the rest of your squad. I keep Hill, Godwin, Randall, Robinson, Pickens, CMC, Pollard, and Gus. JL, what's up, man? What up? Trade Kenneth Walker straight up for JT or just keep moving around Kenneth Walker and Jamar. I lost Javonte, or just keep building around. Yeah, I would keep building around those two for sure. I would definitely keep those two. Ooh, Brandon Cooks or Sutton flex, Caleb. I'll go Sutton, but I don't like it. I'll go Sutton, though. Should I start McLaurin or Cortland Sutton? I go McLaurin, Ghost Hunter. I think Debo will get better with CMC on the field. I don't necessarily disagree, Spence. Less pressure on his shoulders. Yeah, I could see it for sure, man. Would you drop Pacquiao for Rashad White, Hardman, or Rondell Robinson? Is A.J. Dillon a must pick up if someone dropped him? No, he's not a must pick up. He's a pure handcuff. And Jones has looked just fine on the year. but injury is going to pop up at any point, right? But I think with Ricard White, you don't get too much more value than Pacquiao. Pacquiao is more in a committee. Ricard White's more of a handcuff. Maybe that will turn into a committee, but Robinson's going to be a more consistent floor type player in full PPR, where Hardman will bring some more upside. So just depends on what you're looking for there. But I don't know if I think Pacquiao and Ricard White are pretty close in terms, like, you're not going to be starting them, really. They're going to be on your bench. Hardman, a little bit more upside than Randall Robinson, but Robinson probably brings more consistency. And I don't think you need to pick up A.J. Dillon necessarily. All right, had this random intuition. Kenneth Gainwell might be a worthwhile stash, sure. I think he's been a worthwhile handcuff all season long. Like, just God forbid anything happens to Miles Sanders, who's seen a lot of volume. We know that the Eagles are going to run the football, like, a lot. And if anything happens to Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell's your next guy up. So, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily crazy. And I think I had him in a league or two at a point. I just needed to... I was in win-now positions. I had to pick up other players. Do you think Kyron is being overhyped? Saw his ND highlights. Not sure if he's NFL ready. It reminds me of Boston Scott. I think he's worth a stash because Sean McVay will just rotate running backs at any point. So I think he's worth a stash. But we'll see what happens when he's on the field. I don't have RB depth past Kamara, Najee, or Ricard White. But I feel like Diggs after the bye would make it worth it. I mean, you got to have starting running backs. You can't just roll with Ricard White, you know. Like, who would you be starting? Who's on your bench? I mean, that Kamara and Najee, it sounds like you need them. If Ricard White's your next running back, I don't know. Yeah, Diggs is really good, but are the points going to equate out to you not having two starting running backs? I don't know, man. Which three running backs do I start this week? CMC, JT, ETN, Jacobs, and non-PPR. Jacobs. CMC's kind of got a tough matchup. But I don't think you bench CMC. I don't think you bench JT. It's really close, but I go with those three. CMC, JT, Jacobs. But ETN's going to have a good week. DJ Duvernay, thoughts on my matchup this week? Full PPR, Lamar, Barkley, and ETN. Diggs and AJ Brown. Ingram, Hopkins at flex. Great lineup. Great lineup. You're facing Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook, Swift, Higgins, Godwin, Harrison Bryant, and Stevenson. It's going to be close. Like, his upside is at quarterback with Josh Allen, right? But overall, I like your running backs and receivers and even your tight end more. Yeah. I think you get the... And this could go either way, don't get me wrong. But I like your team slightly more. I like his quarterback more, though. Traded Andrews and Sutton for JT, Godwin, and Freiermuth. I mean, listen, I love me some Mark Andrews. But I think it's a good trade, Antonio. I love me some Mark Andrews. I mean, I very rarely want to see you guys trade Kelsey or Andrews. But, yeah, I'd way rather have Godwin than Sutton. Freiermuth is your tight end 9 in full PPR. And you got JT. It's a good trade, man. It's a good trade. Who's a better flex play? Chris Olave, Fournette, or DJ Moore? My other wide receivers are T. Higgins and AJ Brown. I would play Chris Olave. I play Chris Olave. Just way too consistent right now. Just playing really, really good football. Seeing great volume. You know, he missed week 6, which was a bummer. But since week 2, he's had double-digit fantasy performances in every matchup he's played in. And it's a good matchup against the Raiders this week. I will go Chris Olave. Cinnabon, what's up? What's up? I like DJ Moore's upside this week after last week. I don't disagree necessarily with what you're saying, but the Falcons surprisingly aren't too bad against the wide receiver position. If I'm not, wow, never mind. I take that back. They're awful. I was getting them mixed up with the running back position. Yeah, I mean, DJ Moore has got a really good matchup. Actually, the Falcons are the worst team in the league against opposing receivers. So, hey, if you like the upside, if you got the conviction, I say you roll with it. But I think Olave is the safest start. Richie, thoughts on Kyron Williams? Absolutely worth stashing. But just a stash right now. We got to sit back and see what happens. Juan, what's up? With Njoku out, the high ankle sprain, I don't feel confident with Pitts. Who should I pick up? Hurts, Irv, Harrison, Bryan, or Ingram? Hands down, Irv Smith. Irv Smith gets the Cardinals this week. Beautiful matchup. Not even close for me. It's Irv Smith. They just gave up 2 touchdowns last week to Jon Dawson. They're one of the worst teams in the league against opposing tight ends. It's Irv Smith against the Cardinals for me. Trade Debo Singletary for ETN. You got Swift, B-Rob, Ricard White, Kirk, Cooks, Campbell, Peoples-Jones, Jameson Williams. Oh, gosh. Yeah, here's the issue, David, is it helps your running back situation, especially with Swift being so up and down in terms of injury. But it hurts your receiver position because then you're relying on Christian Kirk. And it's just tough, man. I would hold Debo. I would hold Debo. Start B-Rob and Swift. I mean, you're just hurting at running back. And I get that's why you're probably going for ETN, but you're hurting at receiver too, and you're going to be hurting pretty badly if you don't have Debo. Because when you keep Debo, you can start Swift, B-Rob, Debo, Kirk, and then throw someone in the flex like Peoples-Jones or Campbell, or even Singletary, where if you lose Debo, you can start ETN, Brian Robinson, and flex Swift when he's healthy, but then your receivers are going to be Kirk and Cooks or Campbell, Peoples-Jones. I think you need Debo on this team, man. Would you do Diggs for Evans and Adams? Yes, probably. As much as Diggs is the best receiver in fantasy football right now, but Evans missed a little bit of time, so he's wide receiver 15, and then Devontae is wide receiver 6. So if you need depth, then I probably would go for this. I'd probably go for it. If you don't need depth, I would hold Diggs for sure, because Diggs is really good at football. All right, man. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. How's everyone doing, man? Thank you guys for spending part of your night here at the channel. And make sure you guys hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. Appreciate all the fancy questions and you guys keeping the conversation going, man. All right, Bob, I have Joe Mixon, Kamara, Najee, Ricard White, Gus Edwards. Also have Evans, D-Hop, Olave, Mike Williams, Pickens, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex lineups. So you'd be losing. Okay, so you'd keep Mixon. And then you could play like Gus Edwards. What's your record? Because right now, man, I think you have a better squad. Because if you lose Kamara and Najee, here's the issue. You gain Diggs. Then you're going to have Diggs, Evans, D-Hop, Olave, and Mike Williams, and Pickens, who has value. Mike Williams is out a couple weeks. I get that. But you're just going to have an issue where you're going to have to bench someone, and then your RB2 is going to be hurting. The other option is if you do the trade and you acquire Diggs, you can trade one of your receivers, right? Or you can trade a package of an injured Mike Williams to a winning team with Ricard White maybe, and get an upgrade at running back that way, potentially. So, listen, I mean, you won't be in an awful position, but you're going to have added receiver depth and a weak RB2 spot, because Gus Edwards will bring some inconsistency on the season. That's the nature of the Ravens backfield. So I'm not as against it now that I see your full roster, especially with the idea of, you're going to have 4 or 5 starting receivers, and you can probably trade one for an RB2 or put together a package. So if you think that's the best move for your roster, I'm not completely against it. Bryce Dubes or Randall this week? I'll go Randall Robinson as long as he's healthy. Is JaMychal Hasty back up to ETN? That's what I've read, Andrea. That's what I've read. Let's see here. Filthy, what's up, man? Is James Cook worth a stash? I had a lot of faith in the offseason that Cook was going to be a thing, but he hasn't necessarily. I mean, he's RB2 there, but yeah, if Singletary gets hurt, it's a good stash. For that purpose, yeah. Antonio, thanks, bro. RBs were Najee, Singletary, and Eno. I needed it. Yeah, I think it's a good trade, man. I like that trade, actually. And I hate seeing people lose Andrews. Nick, sorry I had to head out, and I don't know what you said for my question. Do you think I should start Connor, Pollard, or Edwards? No worries, man. If Connor's healthy, I think he's fine because he's got a good matchup this week against the Vikings. Their run defense has been really bad. But he'll probably split some time with Eno Benjamin. So the way Benjamin's been playing. So I might go Tony Pollard here. And Gus Edwards just a little bit banged up on a short week against the Bucs defense. So I'm kind of concerned about Gus Edwards, but I wonder if I'm being overly concerned. Still starting Lamar. I kind of want to play Dalton for the passing yards. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bench Lamar personally because the ceiling's too high, right? But I understand if you're a Lamar owner, you're frustrated. Like, I just wouldn't bench Lamar because the second he pops off, you're going to hate yourself. But that's kind of what Lamar brings to the table. He, like, last year, he did the same thing. He had some weeks where he was not great. And then the next week, he'd put up 35 points. So I wouldn't bench Lamar personally. That's kind of what you get yourself into if you draft him. But I get that it's been frustrating with how well he was playing earlier in the season. And even with the past couple weeks, he's still your quarterback 4. And he's gone since week 4, 15, 15.7, 17.1, and 10. After going 21, 41, and 40 in the first 3 weeks. So, I don't know, man. I will say I think the bigger issue is not Lamar Jackson's play, per se. But the fact that Mark Andrews might not suit up, Rashad Bateman might not suit up, and Gus Edwards is a little banged up as well. But I just think you can't bench Lamar, man. And Dalton, you're kind of rolling the dice, but he's got a good matchup. And he played well last week. Will Cordero Patterson be a solid running back play when he gets back? Yeah, in the flex, for sure. Anthony, Bucs defense or Patriots defense rest of the season? Probably the Patriots. Maybe the Bucs. It's close. Bob, 2-5, sadly. Well, then I say you make a change. Go get Diggs. Go get Diggs. Let's upgrade. Just keep in mind, you might want to consider trading for a new RB2 after you do this trade. Because you're gonna have a lot of receivers, which isn't a bad thing, but you're gonna be pretty light at running back. Yo, Soy, start running back 2. Zeke, Henderson, Gus Edwards, or Robinson. I'd probably go Hendo. I'd probably go Hendo here. But Zeke's not an awful option necessarily. So, I see a really similar floor and ceiling for all these guys. I'd probably go Henderson personally because I think he sees the best volume. But Brian Robinson's not a bad option. But both kind of have tough matchups against the Niners and Colts. You can always go Zeke. But Zeke might not. Zeke's a little bit banged up, right? As a matter of fact, if Zeke plays... Okay, he's probably going to miss week 8. So, toss up between Brian Robinson. Toss up between Robinson and Hendo. I might go Robinson. A little bit of a better matchup overall. So, close. All right. Flex, Myers, Bateman, or Ayuk. I would go Ayuk. Because the Rams secondary has not played good against opposing receivers outside of whoever Ramsey's been on. Although he floats at times. So Ayuk will still be able to make some good plays. But we'll have some plays while Ramsey's around. But I will go Ayuk because he's been trending upward. I like Jacoby Myers. But he's going to see Sauce Gardner. I don't want to start a wide receiver 1 against Sauce Gardner. And Bateman's a little bit banged up. So I think Ayuk's the best play, Nick. Cinnabon, my record doesn't show, but I'm super confident I'm winning this year in my home league. Let's go, baby. Let's go. I'm confident in you too, man. So you're saying start B-Rob over Singletary? I would personally. After the view, have a great night, man. We'll talk to you soon. I'll try and stop by tomorrow's stream since I usually stream earlier on Thursday nights. So I'll try and stop by, bro. Y'all think DJ Moore, Judy gets traded? Judy has a better chance from everything I've read. I've read that DJ Moore won't get traded. Henderson or Ben full PPR? I'm assuming that's Benjamin. If Connor's out, Benjamin for sure. If not, it's a toss-up, but maybe Benjamin because he's got a better matchup. Nick, my team is Hurts, Mostart, James Conner, Diggs, D-Hop, Kelsey, DJM, Bateman, Ayuk, Pollard, Gus Edwards, Cordero. What, if any, kind of move should I make? I mean, if you're in a good place, I like this team. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this team. I would keep this team how it is. Maybe do something with James Conner. I mean, yeah, running back is a little bit... I mean, but you got Pollard and Edwards and Mostart. Are you winning right now? I mean, Diggs, D-Hop, Kelsey, Hurts. Mostart has a great matchup this week. I don't know. I might hold. I was more excited for B-Rob, but with the Washington offense, if I play Robinson, I'm relying on him to score touchdown every week. That's true. Singletary... PPR League, Robinson gets 0 targets. Yeah, you could go Singletary. Both just don't have great ceilings, you know? I mean, you're right. Yeah, Benjamin's probably going to score a touchdown. Or Robinson, I'm sorry. Who to start? Raheem Mostart, Ramondre, or Swift in the flex. What's up, PJ? All are great options. All these guys are great options. Without a doubt. Oh my gosh. You can't go wrong here. Mostart's got the best matchup against the Lions. I might go Mostart. Carr or Tua? I go Tua. Just slightly. Start Olave or Mike Williams. Olave for a floor and Mike Evans for upside. Evans a good matchup this week. Stevenson rest season? Yes, I still believe in Stevenson. Nick 6-1? Yeah, I'd keep your team how it is, man. You could see what you could get maybe for like Connor and Bateman. You don't really need Bateman now that D-Hop is back. Maybe float those two around and see what happens, but that's about it, man. You're in a good spot here. A-Rob or Paris Campbell? Oh, God. A-Rob, I'm not confident in, even coming off of a good game the last time he played. But Paris Campbell, like, I liked Campbell, but the issue now is, like, I don't know what the chemistry is going to be like with Ellinger as compared to Matt Ryan. Like, Matt Ryan had really good chemistry, like, all off season, you know? So it's very close. Very close. I just don't like Robinson a whole lot. I really don't. I might go Paris Campbell, but I'm not super confident in either play. I mean, it's not that I'm not confident in Campbell. I think it's a little bit riskier now that Matt Ryan's not the quarterback. Justin just traded MT, Pierce, and Swift for Diggs. Wow. 8-man league. My running backs are now Kenneth Walker, Zeke, and Connor. My wide receivers are now Cup and Diggs. It's a lot to give up, man, but Diggs is wide receiver 1, so an 8-man, it helps, but your RB2 position is now drastically hurting without Pierce and Swift, but maybe someone comes up on the waiver that helps you. I mean, hey, he got Diggs, but it's a lot to give up. I wish he could have got one more player back, just like, it's because they probably had to drop someone. If he could have just gotten a running back of some value, that would have helped, but hey, you got Diggs, so I'm not completely against it. Start 2 full PPR, Sutton, Pickens, Robinson, Cooks. Personally, I would start George Pickens and Randall Robinson. That's who I have the most confidence in. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been about an hour and a half, so we'll start to wrap things up here. So let me know what you guys need here. Let me know any final questions, and we'll start to wind down the stream here. I gotta do couple things before bed, and I gotta work tomorrow, so we'll go ahead and start to wind things down. But I'll be on with Steven at 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, and yeah, we'll stream before kickoff. Should be a good time, so make sure you guys come by, hang out, and talk some fantasy, and get your lineups right before the Buccaneers and Ravens. So it should be a good game tomorrow. I thought last week we got a pretty decent game too. So early lines on Underdog. Let's reload and see if anything comes up. Cinnabon, have a good night, bro. I appreciate you, man. I like Lamar Jackson's over on the rushing yards, especially with some injuries for the rest of his offense. I'm not taking
all these guys are banged up, so if they don't play, it's just going to get nullified and make your bet lower, so I'm not taking them right now. I don't like any of Brady's lines right now. I don't mind Fournette to score a touchdown. I like Rachaad White over 2 receptions. You could take a risk here. I think that the Ravens could end up putting a lot of pressure on Evans or Godwin, one or the other. And I would take the lower on one of their receiving lines. I think both have good games, but I could see them in the 50, one or the other in a 50 to 60 range with a touchdown. So I like the lower on one of these two guys. Let's say Godwin. I like Ryan Suckup to make 2 field goals. And yeah, that's 5 picks. And I would just run that as with insurance on Underdog if you guys do a lineup this week. So Richie, appreciate you, bro. Filthy, appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Michael, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I saw you just subscribe, man. Welcome to the Catch fam. We're about to wind down the stream, but welcome to it, man. Looking forward to having you here. So appreciate you, bro. Devonta Smith, Waddle, or Chris Olave, which two should I start? Wow. Probably Waddle and Olave. But I think Devonta Smith is going to have a good week, but probably Waddle and Olave. Yeah, they're just they're so safe. Great floors and ceilings. I would go Waddle and Olave. And I really like Devonta Smith this week against the Steelers secondary. You can't go wrong here. If it's my lineup, I'll go Waddle and Olave. But I'm telling you, man, Devonta Smith is going to have a good game. And you probably have a player in the flex already you're confident in. But if you don't, Devonta Smith is a great start, man. Boy, Kevin with the super chat as we finish out the stream. What a guy, man. Thank you so much. The $5 dono. Thank you, man. Very, very kind of you, bro. We got to get... hitting all the wrong buttons. Let's get Aaron Rodgers in the chat for you, man. Let's get some emojis going. We'll give you the sunglasses emoji. Thank you, bro. All right, I'm 4-3. It's 11-spot team with 2 flexes. I have Diggs, Davis, Kirk, Henry, Barkley, Cooper, Clyde, Schultz, Taysom, and Rodgers. Any changes? I mean, the main thing that comes to mind, I think your core roster is really good, actually. And keep in mind, guys, 4-3 is not a bad spot to be in at this point in the season. So don't be too upset with that factor. But Diggs as your wide receiver 1. Davis, Kirk, or Cooper as wide receiver 2. And then a combination of one of those in the flex is really good. Then Henry and Barkley is just ridiculous, man. So your core roster receiver and running back's really good. Everett's your tight end 7. Taysom Hill has had good weeks. And Schultz should improve as he starts to come back. So the main thing that comes to mind, man, is Aaron Rodgers. Like, I want you to upgrade at quarterback. Like, dude, it's that bad right now that you can start to play the waiver at quarterback. Like, you can look at guys like Daniel Jones for sure, Trevor Lawrence, except this week because he plays Denver, Justin Fields, except for this week because he plays the Cowboys, but both those guys are going to be options. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is your quarterback 9 in fantasy. Daniel Jones is your quarterback 10. Jared Goff has had 2 really bad weeks, but I think he could have some improved games against Miami this week, right? I don't like Marcus Mariota, but he's quietly your quarterback 11, but I really don't trust him. So it's that bad, dude, where Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback 17. Even Goff is quarterback 14. So, like, I would consider all those guys over Rodgers right now. And that's about it. Also, you're holding 3 tight ends. So, like, if you wanted to fish around in your league and put Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Schultz or Taysom Hill on the trade block, I think it's okay. If you keep Everett in a combination of Taysom Hill or Schultz, I think you'll be fine at tight end. But Aaron Rodgers is the big thing for me, man. But yeah, Kevin, thank you so much for the super chat, man. With the $5 dono. What a guy. What a guy. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that, man. Very, very kind to you. And happy to get to your question here at the end of the stream, my guy. All right, Tamian, what's good, bro? 3-way trade. I got JJ, Devontae, Schultz plus more. I get Barkley, Juju, Godwin, Duvernay, Hunter Henry plus more. Worth it. Get JJ, Devontae. You give away Barkley, Juju, Godwin, Duvernay. That sounds fine as much, but you're losing Barkley. You have Mixon, Etienne, and Pollard 2 and 5. Okay, if you're 2 and 5, go for it. But I hate that you lose Barkley. But JJ and Devontae helps. But you still have Mixon and Etienne. You get a big upgrade at receiver. If you're 2 and 5, go for it. Kevin, I got Kirk Cousins. Should I start him? Yes. Yeah, it's that bad right now. I'd rather start Cousins over Rodgers. For sure, man. For sure. Cousins, your quarterback 13. I go Cousins, man. Tamian says package Everett and Rodgers for a big upgrade. He could do that as well, man. Like, as long as you're keeping 2 of those tight ends, I think you'll be fine. We got you. We got you, Kevin. That's what we're here for, man. Ander, who should I start? Mariota or Cousins? I start Cousins right now. It's a good matchup. Good game script this week, so. Bunny Hop. What's good, baby? Roster Dak Fournette. Jones, Diggs, Godwin, Hawk, Swift, Myers, Colts D, Bench, Carter, Jameson Williams, Tanyan, Randall, Renfro, Gus Edwards. Would you swap anyone? So, okay, so you're asking would I swap anyone for your starting lineup? So, Dak, Fournette, Aaron Jones, Diggs, Godwin, Hawk, Swift, Myers. Myers, maybe. I would swap Myers for Randall Robinson. I really would. That's it. I don't like Myers facing Sauce Gardner this week. I told you guys all last week. I don't want to start Cortland Sutton. He's facing Sauce Gardner. Cortland Sutton had his worst game of the season. You know, I don't like playing against Sauce Gardner. I really don't. So that would be my only swap for you, bro. Should I trade Saquon and Olave for JJ and Mike Williams? No. No, you keep the Saquon side. As good as JJ is. Got Zeke, Patterson, and Kamara. No, keep Saquon. Godwin, Kirk, Deontay. Can start 2 flex. Thanks. Jefferson after his bye and Saquon before his. I would keep Olave, Godwin, and Kirk as your primary receivers. Saquon, Kamara as your primary running backs. Patterson coming back is going to help you too. JJ's great, man, but I keep the Saquon side. Michael accepted a trade getting Miles Sanders for Brandon Ayuk. What do you think about this trade? Forgot Debo's dealing with a hamstring injury. If you needed running back help, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, Ayuk might have some added upside for a week or two, but it's fine, man. It's a good trade if you need running back help. Miles Sanders very quietly, like a top, what is he? Running back 11 or 12? Might be a little bit higher. Might be 10. What if I traded Williams and Evans for Lenny and did the Kamara Najee trade for Diggs? Really need a kick start to the lineup. I'm not against that. I'm not against that. Yeah, I think that would kind of even things out, Bob. I think that would be pretty good. Bunny Hop, Jamal Williams. Okay. It still doesn't change anything. That's the only move I would make, man. Myers has been very consistent, but I just don't like him this week against Sauce. Kevin, you all have a wonderful night. I'm going to stop by tomorrow's stream and see what's up. All right, man, we appreciate the super chat tonight. We look forward to having you tomorrow and in future streams, man. Yeah, so tomorrow night, guys, I'm going to go and close out the stream, but I'll be on at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Steven for an hour before kickoff, so 7 p.m. Eastern Time to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll talk some fantasy, do some fantasy Q&A for an hour before Thursday night kickoff. Should be a good time, so make sure you guys come by, come hang out, come talk some fantasy. And we'll get your final Thursday night questions answered and any other questions you guys have for the week. So, appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to all the new subscribers tonight. Thank you guys so much. Welcome to the Catch Fam. Excited to have you guys as part of the community. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button, of course, if you're new to the channel and you tuned in. And thank you guys so much to anyone who sent a super chat tonight. I had a blast with you guys. Loved hanging out with you guys tonight. And most importantly, thank you guys for all the fantasy questions and for talking fantasy and keeping the fantasy conversation going tonight. Make sure to join our Discord. Link is in the description down below if you guys are new to the channel, completely free. And make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. More active on Instagram than Twitter at the moment, but make sure you guys check out all the links down below. And appreciate you guys, man. Andrew, who should I put in the lineup at RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and flex? I would go Saquon and Joe Mixon against the Browns. I would go Aaron Jones in the flex. And Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis if Amon-Ra is out. If Amon-Ra is not out, Amon-Ra and Gabe Davis because Christian Kirk's going to be up against Pat Surtain. But a good lineup either way, man. You're in a good position here. So, all right, final question of the night. Appreciate you guys, man. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hit me up on Instagram, Discord, in the YouTube comment section if you guys need anything. Guys, must-start defenses, must-start kickers are out. Starts and sits for quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs are out. Starts and sits for tight ends will drop tomorrow morning. Make sure you guys go check out the videos for the week. Go drop a comment. Go drop a like. And they might help with any of you guys' questions as well in terms of what I'm thinking for the week. So, appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch.